The different types of custody really depend on each case. What I always tell my clients going through a divorce or custody battle is try to live as close to your spouse as possible. If your kids are already in school, do not move out of the school zone. The judges are looking for consistency for the children. I'll put it bluntly. I've had clients say, that judge doesn't care about me. And he was right. The judge does not care about you, and the judge does not care about your spouse. But the judge cares a lot about your kids. So by creating as little disruption as possible in your kid's life, that will make your odds of getting more time with your children much higher. So for example, let's say you think about moving 30 minutes away and you still want 50-50. The question for you is, will the judge make your child or children wake up 30 minutes earlier just so you can have more time? And they may. Let's say you move an hour away. The question again is, will the judge make your children get up an hour earlier each day, especially with kid drop-offs being at 7:30 in the morning? And the answer is no. Please always put your kids first throughout your case. Do not discuss the litigation or pending case with them at all. Do not talk bad about your spouse, and always listen to your lawyer. So long as you do these things, remain involved in your children's life, you should be at the very least going for equal time with your children. So people say, well, what does that look like? I have my friend that does this, week on, week off, that's it, right? The answer is not always. Each judge will do their best to craft a parenting plan that's best for that family. But more likely, you will craft that parenting plan with your spouse, with your attorneys, through mediation. The three most common schedules are what we call a 2-2-3, a 2-2-5, which is also called a 2-2-3 sometimes, and week on, week off. So week on, week off is pretty clear. It is you pick up your kids on Friday after school and you keep them for a week. And when you take them to school on Friday, you know that your spouse or former spouse is going to pick them up from Friday after school. A 2-2-3, which is also sometimes called a 2-2-5, means that parent A, so let's just for the purpose of today, say it's the father, has Monday and Tuesday every single week. And parent B has Wednesday and Thursday every single week. And then Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday night alternate. So for example, one week you'll have Monday, Tuesday if you're the father, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then you'll keep the kids for Monday, Tuesday the next week, and then go 5 days without seeing them, which is why it's called a 2-2-5 schedule. This is the schedule that is most often ordered by the courts and is the most likely when you're a busy professional. Employers, business people, employees like to know when they're going to have their kids. So for example, if you know you have your kids every Monday, Tuesday, but on Wednesday and Thursday you don't, you know, and your employer knows that you can work late on Wednesdays and Thursdays, or you can do a remote position or travel, but you cannot on Mondays and Tuesdays. It's a schedule that works very well for professionals. The 2-2-3, which is called the true 2-2-3, is often used for very small children, typically babies, infants, toddlers, where the actual time will rotate every 2 to 3 days. So for example, parent A gets Monday, Tuesday, parent B gets Wednesday, Thursday, parent A gets Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then it switches back to parent B on Monday, Tuesday, parent A, Wednesday, Thursday. As you can see, it's a lot of transition, but with young kids who forget who people are very quickly, it can be a great schedule for them. Most importantly, you need to find the schedule that's right for you and your family. Every family is different. Some families value Thanksgiving, some value Kwanzaa, some value Christmas, Hanukkah, Yule. There's very different holidays for every different family, and there's no right answer for everyone. What matters most is a custody arrangement that is right for you and your family. In Florida, around 95% of cases have shared parental decision-making or shared parental responsibility. Shared parental responsibility does not mean equal time. It is about decision-making only, and only for major decisions. So what is a major decision, you may ask? Like, will my ex really be able to tell me whether I can take my kid to McDonald's or I have to get them organic food only? No. It's big decisions only. There are 4 key areas of parental decision-making. Number 1 is medical decisions. Number 2 is education. Number 3 is extracurricular activities. And number 4 is religion. When it comes to medical, the most common question today is about the COVID vaccination, and that is a decision that has to be made jointly. And shared parental decision-making, if you and your spouse, the other parent, cannot agree, then whatever the default has been remains in place. You both must agree for any change. So, for example, if your child has not been getting vaccinated and the other spouse decides they want to, they need your permission or it cannot happen. The second one, education. Where will your kids go to school? Will they do AP classes or not? Will they do school choice, charter school, public school, private school? That is something that must be agreed. And if it can't be agreed, then your children will go to the publicly zoned school for one of the parents' addresses, unless there's already a history of private school, in which case the court may order that the children continue in private school. What about extracurriculars? Will my son play tackle football? Will my daughter do ballet? Will my son do ballet? Will my daughter do tackle football? Again, these are decisions that must be made jointly. And if the parties don't agree, the change does not happen. A lot of people ask about religion too. Well, what does that mean? One of the cases I had recently was where the husband converted to Judaism to marry the wife who was Jewish. The parties raised the children in the Jewish faith, and then the husband, once the marriage dissolved, said, I'm an atheist now and I'm not going to participate. In that case, I was able to get the court to award ultimate decision making for religion to my client because the parties had previously jointly agreed to raise the child in the Jewish faith. And you might have heard a word I just said there, ultimate decision making. Well, what is that? So there's three kinds of decision making. Shared parental responsibility, which is, again, you and your spouse have equal decision making for major decisions, not day-to-day decisions, not bedtime, not whether we go to the zoo or not. That's an individual parent's choice, but major decisions. And if they don't agree, then the change doesn't happen. That's shared. But there is also sole, which is the extreme other end. Sole decision making means that one parent can make all the decisions without even involving the other parent. In essence, they can act like they don't exist. It's very extraordinarily rare to get sole decision making. The only time that likely would happen is in cases of extreme domestic violence. And when I say domestic violence, I mean physical domestic violence. In those cases, there is a presumption against shared. But for most people, it will be shared. But I also said ultimate decision making. Well, what is that? Ultimate decision making is shared parental responsibility with ultimate decision making, meaning that you and the other parent have to meet and confer. But if there's no agreement, then one of those parents gets to make the tie-breaking vote. It's very rare to have ultimate decision making for the same reasons. To get ultimate or sole decision making, or more accurately, anything other than shared parental responsibility and decision making, one party must prove to the court that that it's detrimental to the child, not to the other parent. Not we don't like talking to each other. In the example I gave earlier, talking about religion, my client got ultimate responsibility for religion, but the remainder was shared because, again, there's no detriment to the child for extracurricular activities just because the parties don't agree on religion. So again, most cases, I'd say around 95% will be shared parental responsibility. A lot of people hear the phrase best interest of the minor child and say, what the heck are they talking about? Well, I don't like my ex, so I think the best interest of the minor child is to have the child all the time. No, 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 no. The best interest of the minor child is determined by Florida statute 61.13, subsection 3, A through T. What? What did I just say? How am I going to find that? I get it. Basically, there are 20 factors the court must consider. And when I say the court must consider, the judge literally must go factor by factor, A, B, C, all the way through T, and find that factor in favor of one parent or the other, or neutral, and whoever gets the most factors wins. So what are the most common factors? And again, it's about what's in the best interest of the minor children. So the most common ones that I talk to my clients about are encouraging a positive relationship with the other children and putting your needs above the children's needs. Any parent knows, and I certainly know, parenting is full-time. Have you seen the latest season of that Rated R show? I haven't either, because I've watched a lot of YouTube Kids, children's shows, Teletubby, Disney Plus. That's our life. So that's a lot of what the court will look at is, are you going to put your kids' needs above your own? Are you going to put their needs and wants first above your own? Even though you may not like your ex, are you going to try to push that ex out of the child's life? Remember, that's the other parent. 50% of your kid is from your soon-to-be ex. So be very careful and how you behaved going through the divorce, or it may come back to haunt you. Also, take heart if you're behaving during the divorce and your ex is not, it'll come back to haunt them. But in essence, the big factors are encouraging a positive relationship with the other parent, keeping your child free from the litigation. What does that mean? It means, do I tell my kid, mommy and daddy are getting a divorce? No. Just say we're working on something. It's none of your business. Well, what if they're teenagers, right? They're going to figure it out. Yeah, good for them. But they don't need to know about who's filing what, when court is, mediations. They don't need to know that. Let kids be kids. And if you don't, that factor is going to be found against you. And you have to find more factors in your favor to be able to have more time with your kids. So be very, very careful. What about being involved with your children? You need to know your children's schools, their grades, their teacher's name, their favorite foods, their wants, their likes, their dislikes. That matters. And the court has to make a finding as to that. Just yesterday, I had a court read out that my client, who hadn't been able to see his kid in over a year because the other parent kept that child away, we had more factors neutral than anything else because we did the prep work and he was an involved parent and knew about his children. So you must know your children, you must prioritize your children, and put any feelings of animosity, disgust, or just, feeling wronged by your ex, push that aside for the benefit of your kids. Remember, when your children graduate high school, when they graduate college, when they get married, when they have a baby shower, your ex is going to be there. Do everything you can to acknowledge that, look, we're not going to be together, but the kids must come first. And if you do that and the ex doesn't, when you get to court, you will get more factors in your favor and you will get more time with your children. A lot of people ask, I don't like my current custody schedule. How do I change it? If you're watching this and you're in your original divorce or original custody case, please, please, please get it done right the first time. Do not rush to the wrong result. Do not cheap out and say, well, I don't want to spend the money anymore, so I'll give them more time. No, because the problem is your final judgment, which is the document the judge signs to make your parenting plan, custody schedule, whatever you want to call it, make that official. It is intended to be final, done forever. However, you can modify, but first you must prove a substantial and material change. This used to be harder, but now it is solely a substantial material change in circumstances since the entry of the final judgment. What does that mean? It means that before the judge can even look at what's in the best interest of your children, maybe more time with one parent would be better for the kid. But they can't even look at that until first we allege and establish a substantial material change. Some good examples is if one parent has become an alcoholic or abusive, one parent moves far away and the schedule is no longer feasible. Now you can't be the parent that moved far away and then try to get more time. Or as of July last year, if you lived long distance away, for example, let's say you're a service member in the military, or you live out of state and you move within 50 miles of your children, that is an automatic substantial change. So again, I encourage anyone watching this to get it right the first time. Don't just rush to get it over with. I get it. I've been there myself. You just want to get it done. You just want to move on. You just want peace, but you want the right peace. Do not rush to the wrong result. Take your time to get it done right the first time. And if it's already done, that's okay. Find a lawyer, see if you have a substantial material change. And if you do, move forward. Just know that modifications take longer and are significantly more expensive than getting it done right the first time. And the reason why is the first time there is no parenting plan. Neither you nor your ex has anything. But in a modification, typically the person seeking the modification or the change does not like the parenting plan or time sharing or custody schedule, but the other parent does. So they have no incentive to settle. They have no incentive to provide discovery. Every modification case is the same. The person wanting the modification is like, let's go, let's go, let's go. And the person who's happy with the existing judgment is like, I'll take my time. Mediation? Oh yeah, I can do that in about 5 months, but not tomorrow. Oh no, I'm busy, sorry. Court dates? Yeah, we'll clear those for next year. So please, get it right the first time. Use an attorney. Don't do it by yourself. The law is a game and you simply do not know the rules. I just had a trial last Friday against a pro se, meaning represented themselves, opposing party, and she was completely destroyed. I destroyed her. And it's not fair, but she did not know what she was doing, and she failed to introduce evidence, and my client got an overwhelming victory. So again, don't cheap out. Do it right. Do it right the first time. And if you need help modifying, get an attorney because it's not as easy as you think. A lot of people ask, I'm divorced. I have a custody agreement in place. My girlfriend and I have a custody agreement in place. My boyfriend and I have a custody agreement in place. But I want to move. I'm not happy in my home and I want to move. The question is, can I? And the answer is, like everything in the law, it depends. If you are looking to move less than 50 miles as the crow flies, you do not need to file anything with the court. So again, it's 50 miles and as the crow flies. And as people from Tampa will know, we have Tampa Bay in the middle, and you cannot drive through Tampa Bay. So for example, if you're in Brandon and move to St. Petersburg, that drive on I-4 to 275 may be 50 miles or more, but it's not the drive. It's as the crow flies. So draw a straight line between your old house and where you plan on moving and see if that's 50 miles. Or if you're using Google Maps, right click on location 1, measure distance, right click on location 2. But you still need to think before you move. If you move, even though it's not 50 miles, the other parent may file to modify based on the added difficulty in following the schedule. So for example, if you have a week on, week off equal schedule and your kids go to Alonzo High School in West Chase and you move down to St. Pete, you just signed your children up for an hour, 15 hour, 30 minutes of traffic each way. And that's not fair to them, and the judge won't like it. So again, put your kids first. But as long as you're moving within the same community, you should be totally fine. You do not need your ex's permission to move. Just be careful. What I always tell people is don't move out of the high school zone. Elementary school zones are very small. You'd be trapped in the same neighborhood. But look at your kid's high school zone. Even if they're an infant, even if they're a toddler, look ahead to high school and try to stay in the same zone. Make the drive from your new location, your new residence to their school, 15 minutes or less, because we all know how that 15 minutes, along with the drop-off line, is going to turn to a 35 to 45-minute adventure. What if I do want to move more than 50 miles? What if I get a job offer from out of state? What if I'm struggling and I need to move back home where I have family support? If that's you, you may need to file for relocation. Relocation is when a party moves for 60 days or more with the intent to remain to a location more than 50 miles as the crow flies. If you have a case pending or a final judgment already entered or a parenting plan already established, you must file for relocation or get the other parent's consent before you move. Let me say that again, before you move. If you move without the relocation, your ex could file for a pickup order and deputies might be at your house taking your children away from you. So please follow the law, because further, that will be used against you. So again, relocation is a move of more than 50 miles as the crow flies. It's a very, very complicated process. And in a relocation case, the judge is asking one thing mainly. If I grant this relocation, will the non-relocating parent have a continuing, meaningful relationship with that child? If you're planning on moving from the Tampa Bay area to Jacksonville, there's ways to make it work. If you're planning on moving from the Tampa Bay area to Houston, you get a job with NASA, you're a rocket scientist. There's ways to make that work too. We just have to make sure we have a proposed parenting plan that encourages that relationship. I strongly suggest you reach out to an attorney. Relocations are very difficult. If you have been served with a petition to relocate, call an attorney immediately. From the day you get served, you have 20 calendar days. Let me emphasize that. 20 calendar days to file an objection. If you do not object, the relocation is presumed to be in the best interest of your children, and off they go. They're gone, and you're not getting them back unless a miracle happens. So please, if you're on defense on a relocation, make sure you get help right away.